birthing area.
Oh, yeah, the water births.
Good evening. Welcome to What's New. Tonight we have two lovely guests. I'll call you lovely, sir.
Thank you.
We have two wonderful guests, and our one little gal is a little bit running late. So this is Jean Hansen to my right here, and I'm Mary Ann Roth, and this is What's New. And we would like to have Jean take over and introduce one of our first speakers.
Well, we have Jenna Firehammer from
The Caregivers Conference.
Okay, and Mr. Tom Kime from the hospital board, and he's going to tell us just what they're going to do this year, or in the years
It's
to come.
wonderful.
Well, thank you. We got a little bit of a picture here, but thank you for inviting us to come and spend some time to talk about some of the exciting things happening at the hospital. Actually, we kind of serve a focal point for St. John. As you know, a lot of people do come into St. John on a daily basis, not only for the hospital, but for business and county government. So we are keeping up with the times. And actually, this April 9th, the hospital will turn 50 years old. So we not only will have a celebration of 50 years of healthcare services to this community, it really allows us to prepare ourselves for the next 50 years. So I know that just in speaking to a lot of different groups and different people about what is going on at the hospital, we are making some changes, obviously, to kind of set our course for the next 50 years, if you want to call it that. So I've brought some pictures to kind of share with you to help explain what exactly is going on. This is what the building will look like on the back side of the emergency department. But I think what would be probably most advantageous is to really kind of give you a campus plan, if you will, so everybody can kind of get their bearings on what I'm talking about. So this would be St. Genevieve Drive, or Highway 61.
Okay.
It doesn't show 32 coming this way, but as you know, 32, 61 connect right here at the hospital. This right now, the bluish color here, is the main hospital that you see from the road. This section here is our new emergency department that we added back in 2008. So the emergency department is here, the existing hospital is here, and this is Pine Street. So this would be Apple Kids, the fire department. This is the parking lot that the hospital has. So the new building is in yellow here, and you can see it snugs up against the emergency department, which means that this area back here, which used to be our loading dock and the old boiler plant, those are going to be taken out. When we did our emergency department back in 2008, we actually moved the boilers in underneath the emergency department, so they were already existing. And I guess you could say we've been planning to do this extension or expansion for really the last 10 years. So if you look at this, like I said, the loading dock is needing to be relocated, and that's going to come over here right off of Pine Street. So if you've been close to Pine Street or have come down Pine Street, you'll notice right now that we are digging out the loading dock, and that will come right into that part of the building. And then the parking lot that used to be here, we've relocated back to the back side of the hospital. So if you kind of want to get out and make a nice tour around the hospital, you'll notice that we've added a back parking lot. There's a garage going in back here, because the garage that was located here, we just need to make those changes to accommodate for this new building. That it really means there's not going to be a lot of change to the existing part of the hospital where Dr. Charlot's office is, where cardiac rehab is. This will continue to be a circle drive through there. The parking lot here stays in existence, but the actual building will be serviced on the back side of the hospital. So if you were to look at what we're actually doing, the first floor is going to be a physician clinic. So this is a two-story building. It's roughly about 36,000 square feet. which gives us 2 levels. And because of the lay of the land, our emergency department really would be up on the upper level. The bottom level is the lower level, which will now be the clinic. You would come in from the parking lot, a central nurses station, and then we'll have 20 physician exam rooms. It will have a pharmacy that would either be walk-in or there will be a drive-through. So patients would have, if they see a doctor in the clinic, they would be able to get their prescription filled either through the pharmacy here, or if they want to just drive through and pick it up, they certainly can do that. Like I said, with this plan, it really allows us to consolidate some of our physician clinics. We currently don't own the Park Drive building where several of our internal medicine physicians practice out of, like Dr. O'Donnell, Dr. Raju, our newest doctor, Dr. Lung. So they will be moving over to this building, so we will be getting out of the Park Drive building. We will also be adding Dr. Cadiz from the Point Base building. He'll be joining this practice in here, as well as Dr. Bosner. So we really kind of aimed it to be our adult medicine clinic because right above it is where Med-Surg is going to be located. So it puts them closer to the patients in the hospital, but also puts them on campus and makes it easier for their patients to access lab, imaging, or to see patients that have been admitted to the hospital. So as you can see, we do have space. This is actually the old boiler plant. We're going to be gutting it as part of this, but we're leaving it kind of open for future expansion, because one of the things we always run into at the hospital is it seems like we build out new space, new services come in, more people come in, we're out of space again. So this will allow us to continue to grow with that. So it puts doctors, like I said, on campus, and we've been really trying over the last really 12 years that I've been here, trying to get more doctors on campus, which makes it easier for their patients to see the specialist, to see, get lab and imaging studies. The upper level, which, you know, because of the way the hospital lays, this is the same level that the Med-Surg is on. It's the same level that the emergency department is on. So to get your bearings with where this level is located, this actually is the emergency department, which is located right here. You would come in, this actually is part of the waiting room, so the entrance to the emergency department would be located right here. The Med-Surg, as I said, kind of goes up against those windows that exist right now, which on the back side of the emergency department, which makes it very easy for now patients that come into the emergency department and are admitted to the emergency department can now very easily just go right across the hall. So they don't have to go from the emergency department now all the way to the other end of the hospital if they wanted to, you know, if they're admitted to the hospital as an inpatient. But what this does for us is it really kind of consolidates all of the hospital services together that would service the medical surgical department. So this, you have the emergency department here, we have CT and MRI that are located right here, the rest of imaging is located right here, lab is just next to it, so you can see how close that is to the Med-Surg unit. Respiratory therapy moves into this area. Physical therapy for inpatients is in this area. So we've really consolidated all the services so patients don't have to go through the main lobby of the hospital to get an imaging study done if they're an inpatient. It's all right here. The other nice thing about having our adult physicians located below us in the clinic is there will be an elevator that will allow them to come right up the elevator. So if they need to have maybe a respiratory service, or if they need imaging, or if they need lab, it's all right there. They don't have to go out get in their car and you know, come over from Park Drive or Point Base. They're right here in the building, and all their services are right there together. So with the new medical surgical unit, There's actually 21 private rooms, and all the rooms are on the outside of the building, so they all have windows. They are all private rooms. So each of the rooms will have a sitting area, just like we do at the hospital now, with a pull-out sofa, with a recliner, with a side chair, excuse me. As well as the new rooms will now have their own personal bathroom and shower. So those of you that have been to the hospital, as an inpatient, know that the rooms that were built back in 1969 were built really as semi-private rooms, so there was 2 patients to a room. And actually the original configuration was 4 beds shared 1 toilet, which was located in between the 2 rooms. Back probably about 10 years ago, we did some modifications in those rooms and took them to private rooms, and we were able to put in a second toilet room, if you will, so each room had its own toilet, but they did not have showers. So under the new design, the patient rooms have the bathroom and shower when you first come in, then the bed and the sitting area, so that it's, again, gives the privacy for patients to spend time with their families. They don't have to come out into the hallway to go get a shower. So it's all a lot more personal, a lot more private. The mental part of this is just the support functions. There's 2 nurses stations at each end of this bank of offices, and like medication rooms, conference rooms. We have a hospitalist, so the hospitalist office is there. And the hospitalist is a doctor that is on duty at the hospital, and then some of the other support. So all in all, it really kind of gives us an opportunity to clean up the old loading dock, the old boiler plant. It really helps the back side of the hospital. And I'll go back to that. It really cleans up the backside, because before, if you come down Pine Street, you see the entrance for Dr. Charlot's office and cardiac rehab, but you know, the way it is now, you see the old boiler plant, you see the dumpster, you see the loading dock, you see a lot of not our best side. And this really does clean it up, give it a fresh look, and it really kind of ties in the 2 buildings. And you'll start to see, like I said, this work, it's already begun. We hope to pave the new parking lot excuse me, here when the weather turns a little bit warmer and we're not getting thawing and freezing, so the asphalt doesn't break up, but that will take place. We're already working on the loading dock, and they tell me in the next couple of weeks they'll finish that piece. We're doing some sewer work in the interim. They'll start to do the foundation piece of this, and that we expect to have steel coming up probably the first to mid part of April is when you'll start to see steel. And actually next year about this time they tell me that weather permitting, we'll be able to get into this building, and we'll have a new really almost like a brand new hospital. Now
Excuse me, only about a year?
About a year. It's amazing how quick they can do some of the construction these days. And we've actually worked with McGrath and Associates. I got your call. We've worked with them for many of our projects. They actually were involved in the front lobby project when we changed the front lobby at the hospital. They built the Bloomsdale Medical Center for us. They helped us expand the surgery unit at the hospital. So they know us quite well. So, and that becomes easy when you do this. And like I said, back in 2008, when we did the emergency department, we had planned to come off that side of the building. So we'd already sized the electrical systems, we'd already sized the boilers, you know, so we don't have to go in and redo that expense. You know, that expense was already planned for really back in 2008. So it just took us a while to get here, but we thought there was some other things we had to do, like the Bloomsdale location, like the surgery expansion. And like I said, over the last 50 years, the hospital has seen a lot of change, and all of it designed really to provide the best care, to make sure that we're getting patients in areas that can provide them the services that they need. And I think that this community should be very proud of the fact that this hospital has been here for 50 years. We're a small community, but we're not like a small community hospital. And if you've been out, and I serve on the Missouri Hospital Board of Trustees, and I know some of the smaller hospitals have nothing near what we have here in St. John. We today employ 23 full-time physicians, and I can tell you many of my peers are lucky if they can employ 2. We have expanded services that include women's health. We, in fact, this past year, the hospital set another record in terms of number of surgeries. We did over 2,500 surgeries last year. And those are surgeries from hip and knee replacement surgeries to GYN surgeries to just general cases that Dr. Charlo would do. We have one of 2 female breast surgeons, and Dr. Terry Cavens, that works up at our Bloomsdale location. And she works exclusively for us. So we're doing a lot of women's health surgeries at the hospital. This year, we will probably set another record. Last year, we delivered 157 babies at the hospital.
Oh, my.
And this year, our fiscal year ends in April 30th. But this year, we'll probably do over 200 births this past fiscal year. So women's health, babies are really important to us. And like I said, a lot of small hospitals do not deliver babies anymore.
No.
A lot of small hospitals really don't do surgeries. A lot of small hospitals don't provide cancer treatment. And through our Alan Liss, Dr. Liss's cancer research, we are the smallest cancer research hospital in the United States.
Wow.
And our oncology services continue to grow. In fact, Dr. Liss did a presentation, I think it was right about a year ago, where he talked about the studies that are being done on cancer research. And when you look up, and these are international studies, so when you look up at a board and you see studies being done in Germany and Sweden and across the United States in bigger facilities, there's St. Genevieve, Missouri in clinical trials, and Dr. Liss would tell you the things that we're doing in St. Genevieve are just spectacular when it comes to clinical trials and cancer research and treatment. So that's happening right here in St. Genevieve. And like I said, we are not a corporate entity. We are owned by this county. I mean, we're a county. Everything we do is designed to make our hospital a better place for providing service to the people that are our friends, or our neighbors, or our family. That's who we are. And I will tell you that our fastest growing zip codes of people that come to see us kind of wrap all the way around us. So Farmington, it's not out of the ordinary to see quite a few people from Farmington and Perryville and Festus come to our hospital. And if you, considering the fact that half of our market, if you will, is cut off by the river,
Yes.
we can see people over there that would probably love to get to us, but there's no bridge. So half of our market is cut off. So we do pull a lot of people from the western part and the northern, southern parts around us that do come to St. Gen to and choose to come here for their service. I know I've been doing a lot of talking. I probably should give you a chance to ask me some questions.
No, that's, you've answered them.
Well, we're like I said, we're very proud of the changes that we've made over the years, and like I said, It's not like we're waiting on a corporate entity to do this. We do this by really determining what are the needs of our community, what are those things that we can keep people from traveling up to St. Louis to get done. And I would tell you the doctors that we have in St. Jan are just top notch. We just brought in 2 new physicians. One of them, Dr. Erica Lung, is an internal medicine. She's working with Dr. Raju and Dr. O'Donnell right now. But she just completed her fellowship last year in geriatrics at Harvard.
Oh, my goodness.
She did her residency at St. Luke's up in St. Louis, so she knew the St. Louis hospitals extremely well. She went off and got the additional geriatric, and as you know, we're kind of an older population. So having somebody well-versed and well-trained in geriatrics is so important in this community. She could have practiced anywhere she wanted, but when she came here and learned about the way we do things, the culture at the hospital, the way we work with our physicians, the way we work with our staff, the fact that we have good relationships with our nursing homes, and she's out in the nursing homes working with those patients. She's back in the clinic working with adult population. She has been a great complement to Dr. O'Donnell and Dr. Raju in that practice, and we had 2 of the finest internal medicine physicians in Dr. Raju and Dr. O'Donnell to begin with. We now have a very strong physician group, and then you add to that Dr. Cadiz, another member of our adult medicine, and then our nurse practitioners, Dale Crinsley, Missy Nagger, Jody Uding, Regine Polite, that feed in and help service our adult patients. We have a very strong adult medicine program at the facility. Now, you're probably going to ask me, what are we going to do with the old medical surgical unit? We have that whole end of the building that we're moving into the new. So where the current med-surg unit is, we're going to convert all that into women's health space. So our OB department has been on the back hallway, I guess you could say, of med-surg. Those OB rooms will be expanded that complete hallway, and then on the front side where the current med-surg unit is currently occupying, we're going to convert those into physician office space for Dr. Lamb, Dr. Whitaker, and Dr. Kittner, our OB physicians, as well as Kelly Donzie and Brittany Terillian. They're going to be moving into that space. So if you're seeing your doctor, your OB doctor, you're seeing them in the clinic, and they need to deliver a baby, they just walk across the hall. The staff is there, so patients will get to know the staff a lot better in the women's department. And then with all the imaging, like mammograms and ultrasounds and all the different support to women's health, it's all right there. The other thing that we are planning, because the current respiratory therapy occupies what used to be a C-section room, an operating room. Once we move them out, we plan to put that room back in operation as a C-section room, operating room. So actually the goal, the vision is that women can come into the clinic, and there will be a private entrance. If they need surgery, they would start in what is the OB women's department. They go right into the surgery and they recover right back into their room. So it's, again, all self-contained, it's all private, it's all really designed to provide a private experience for women that need any kind of surgical or professional care. So we do have space to expand all that, and women's health has been one of the areas that Bloomsdale has been a very good thing for us, because we have really gone after women's services in a big way. If you look at statistics, they'll tell you that over 85% of all healthcare decisions are made by women. And if you think about it, that's so true, because who makes the appointments for the kids? Who makes the appointments for the guys? You know, my wife's after me all the time. She says, you work with doctors all day, you know, you can make your own appointment, but she's usually the one after me to get that appointment. And who makes, for grandmother and grandfather, you know, who gets them there? So having a very strong women's program is really important to the overall plan and operations of the hospital. And like I said, Bloomsdale has been just an outstanding location for us. It has the walk-in clinic, and one of the goals as we consolidate some of the clinic space is to have a walk-in clinic in St. John. And our vision is to put that clinic into what is now the Plaza Women's Health location. So over next to Country Mart, what is it, the party room at Country Mart, we have our women's wellness
Yes.
clinic. Well, when we move into this and then move into the new women's center, once those OB-GYN physician come out of there, that will become the walk-in clinic for St. Genevieve. So again, just meeting the needs of patients in the community and trying to address and think ahead to what we need to look like.
You have to, I mean, many don't think of it, but it's a business, really. I mean, very personal business,
Well,
but you have to think that St. John's growing, and it just has to keep up with the people and all the people around us.
and that's what we have always felt, that we feel that we're part of an economic engine. Back when I came to the hospital, we employed about 250 some odd employees. Today, we employ over 420 employees. A lot of those employees, you know, we're hoping to get some more houses built, because I've got employees that want to live in St. John. It's a great place to be, to raise a family. I love the fact that my phone tells me in the morning that my commute time is 5 minutes. And I tell people that, you know, if there's more than two cars at the stoplight there at the True Value, or the Ace, I guess it's Ace
Yeah,
now,
Ace now.
there's a traffic jam.
Yeah.
So, but, and I think that's what people like about the small community, is it's easy to get to places. The people are very friendly. Doctors that come into this community and have offices, they just love the people here. And that, in fact, the people of St. John have probably been one of the best recruiting tools we have. So that, you know, that's always very, very helpful for us.
Now, the office where O'Donnell and that they're going to move into the hospital?
I'm sorry.
Dr. O'Donnell's office?
Yes, yeah.
Those doctors that are in there, they will move into
They
the
will all
hospital?
move over to the new building. Yeah. A couple of things, since we're talking about the hospital, which is my favorite subject. You know, I think that, you know, given the opportunity to kind of talk about some of the things that we do, we're very proud of the culture that we have at the hospital. We, last year, were awarded for the 4th year the top 150 great places to work in healthcare. And that means that the level of commitment we have to our employees is rivals some of the top medical centers across the country. So like Mayo Clinic, John Hopkins are on that list, as is St. Genevieve. There's actually only 2 hospitals in Missouri that made that list, and we're one of them. So we're very proud of that. I got to also do a shout out to our oncology nursing team. They are receiving a national award for oncology care at the Oncology Nurses Society, the Pearl Moore Award, which is going to be given in Anaheim, California in April. St. John Hospital is being recognized as top care of nursing in oncology.
Wow, that is great.
This past week, we were contacted by the American Hospital Association. We just did some work with them. We were one of 16 hospitals in the United States that they wanted to learn about how we do performance improvement, how we improve ourselves, how we take different things that we want to be the best at, and how we go about making ourselves better so that they can share that with other hospitals as best practice. We have the opioid issue, which is rampant throughout the United States. Our hospital and a team of people working in conjunction, like with the health department and the police and sheriff's department and churches and community groups, we pulled together groups to address the opioid issue. And excuse me, St. Genevieve is being recognized as a rural health champion in the state of Missouri for their work on opioid stewardship. Laura Fowler, our pharmacist, is being recognized as an individual rural health champion, and then the entire team has won the team award for the opioid stewardship in Missouri. So a lot of very exciting things happening. We have a very vibrant, like I said, medical staff and hospital, and we're very proud of and humbled by, the community's acceptance and working with us in delivering the care. And like I said, we hope this building project just puts us into the next 50 years going forward.
Well, I know, it's like I was saying that my granddaughter is, she's 25 or something in that area. Anyway, she's one of these very modern young ladies, her and her husband are, and this is their first baby, and they're very, want to see what everything's going on, so they've gone for all kinds of birthing stuff I've never heard of. But she was about to make sure that she could get to St. John to have the baby, because we were the only hospital that had this birthing that she was looking for.
Water births.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but yeah.
Yeah.
But she did find a place close there in University City. And she did find a place close to them there, so.
Well, one of the things that we've really kind of prided ourselves on in the women's health area is that, childbirth is different, for a lot of people. I mean, some have expectations of what they want, and I think our staff, along with the physicians, do a very good job of helping women kind of have the birthing experience that they're looking for, whether it be water birth, whether it be natural, whether it be, however they see it. And I think there's a lot of good communication that take place between the doctors and the people, and I think that's, word of mouth has just been so strong in women's health, bless you, that when you get somebody talking about the experience that they had, and I don't want to throw other hospitals under the bus, but when they come and experience at St. John, they said they wish they would have delivered their first here, if they had delivered someone else before. So that's an area that we like patient feedback. We want to know those good experiences so that we can share those, and generally speaking, people tend to tell friends, and that's how it kind of grows. I would be remiss, and I know you have another guest, so
That's all right.
just to
No,
talk
that's
about
okay.
the Legacy Campaign. And the
yes.
Legacy Campaign is really a chance for people in the community to be part of the hospital. Looking back 50 years ago when this hospital was started by volunteers in this community, one of the things that the community did was, and the hospital did, was allow people to be part of leaving a lasting legacy at the hospital. And if you remember, if you've been through the hospital, you know that we have plaques on the doors. So we're kind of doing something just like that 50 years ago. We did the same thing with the Legacy Campaign. So it really gives people an opportunity, if they want to have a brick in our courtyard, or if they want to have their name on a door or on the sign on a door, or for the right amount of money, we'll let them put their name on the whole building. So, but it is an opportunity, again, for people to leave a lasting mark, not only on our hospital, but, just kind of shows the community support that we take very seriously and appreciate. Our Friends Foundation at the hospital is conducting this campaign. If people would like more information on that, they can contact Friends. Like I said, as small as $150, up to,
Whatever.
a lot of money if you want to put your name on it. But there are small ways that people can leave a lasting mark on the facility and leave a legacy of themselves here with our new facility. So we hope people will call and find out about it, and I'll leave some brochures and for you so that you, if you get any questions.
You say call, would you, can you give them a phone number that would concern with just this legacy thing without
Yes.
having to go through a whole switchboard?
Sure. In fact, they can call directly to this number. It's 883-7725. That's 883-7725. Holly Ledbetter, she's our director at the Friends Foundation. Wonderful lady. She will be glad to tell you all about it. She'll probably talk your ear off because she's very excited about this program, but they do a really nice job with this. It can be a pledge. I mean, someone can even pledge it, over a number of years. If someone wants to just do it one time, it can be done that way. So we really wanted to make it, very easy for people to be able to donate and leave that legacy at the hospital.
Now, the front part of the hospital, you're not doing anything with that out front, that stays the same?
That's going to stay the same. In fact, if you're an inpatient, really this entrance is for the clinic only. So that's to take care of the clinic. If you're going to be admitted to the hospital, or if you're going to the hospital to visit a loved one, or if you have family coming to visit you, if you're an inpatient, you will still use the main entrance as it always is. So it won't impact, registration or our auxiliary partners, gift shop. All that will still be really the main entrance to the hospital, and will be the way to get to the inpatient rooms.
The
I was just
emergency
wondering
room.
it.
I'm sorry, did you say something, Mary?
Go ahead.
No? I was wondering, now the emergency room entrance, will that change?
No, that will stay the
That
same. And I think the emergency room will probably get a little more traffic, just because you can come through the emergency department at night, because that's really the only way to get after 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it'll be much easier for patients. Like I said, now you come and have to go the entire length of the building to get back to Med-Surg if it's after 8 o'clock at night. Now, with the new building, you can come in the emergency department and Med-Surg is right there. So it'll make it much easier for people to kind of navigate through the hospital at different times of the day. But again, the efficiency of having it side by side with the emergency department is very
Very
important.
important.
So,
I was just wondering about the front of it.
not going to change. Not going to change.
That was what I was wondering, because my dad made the dove that's over on the other side.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Made that dove for that area there.
That will not change.
I designed it.
Aw, that's special.
So I thought, well, that would be a nice legacy leave with him.
For sure.
But that
Yes,
sounds,
that's it.
So I have a question. I've
Sure.
been sitting here looking at the plans.
Okay.
Why is the building two different colors?
Well, good question. In
Yeah.
fact, I wish, this is the existing building, that's what they call the 93 edition. So
That's the one that's right in the back where you go in.
this one is already existing. It's a different color. It's a lot more lighter color, but the colors of this reprint are a little bit darker. This brick actually matches the new emergency department
Oh,
brick.
okay. Okay.
So it may look a little darker than, but this will match the emergency department. This is what we're dealing with the existing building. So one of the challenges that we gave the architects is how do we kind of tie this building into this building? And we're actually looking at adding some of these
Oh, okay.
elevation, because that 93 edition is pretty plain,
Yeah, it's
pretty
flat.
squared.
Right.
It is.
And it's a different color than, the brick that we used, obviously, on the emergency department. So trying to blend and tie
Now,
those.
that's brick also, isn't it?
Yeah. So it kind of gave them a challenge of these different colors. So there's minor tweaks that are happening to try to introduce some of the color in over here, as well as bring some of the color of the brick to
Into
some
there.
areas over here. So this is still work in progress, but
Okay.
it kind of gives you an idea of how the building's going to be situated back there. And like I said, there'll be minor tweaks as we
As you progress.
yeah, as we get there, because they're still working on trying to match and tie it all in with the colors. But that was a great question, because that was the same thing we talked about too, is what can we do about this matching with
Yeah.
that, the new stuff, so.
May I suggest a can of paint?
Yeah. That has been talked about, is there a
The
way
only
to?
bad thing about painting brick is peeling.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna peel.
Never stays real.
And then you have a mess.
yeah, yeah, there's different processes that you can do, but generally speaking, we've looked into some of it, and it may be something that we, as technology changes, that we
Right,
might be
right.
able to do something that gives it a longer lasting
Yeah,
life.
because they've got pretty good paint that lasts outside now to what it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, we did talk to the architect and the general contractor about what products are out there to paint brick, because we know they've really been changing over the years, and worst thing you do is paint it and let it peel. So, yeah, we'll
And you get used to looking at the two colors, but it just really pops out at you.
yeah, oh, yeah,
They,
yeah.
they may not be as much of a contrast when it's built.
And
Well,
that's what we're
especially
hoping.
when you
No.
put the risers over on that side.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when we tie in some of the
Oh.
architectural pieces to that, it should help bring out some things. Yeah.
And there is lighter color right there in the front, isn't there, to the sides?
And, yeah, right
Yeah,
here, and
there.
actually, we've talked to them about bringing in some additional light color into
That
this, so
yeah,
it
that
does
would
kind of
be-
tie it in, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that it looks horrible, but it's just
No,
like
it's
it.
just different.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the challenge, because really the 93 edition was pretty boxy, and it's kind of different than the way the front looks. It's certainly going to be different than the way this looks, so
Right,
we want to try to update it. And I think it's important for the hospital in general, because when we do these things to kind of keep ourselves fresh and updated, because a lot of times people, particularly in healthcare, if you look at an old facility, you sometimes think old facility, old technology, and that couldn't be farther from the truth in St. Genevieve. We do a lot to keep our equipment updated and reinvest in that, so.
But
we
they
want-
can, oh,
Oh, go ahead.
you can finish your sentence,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
say, we do the things that really kind of keep ourselves, technology, so that you don't have to feel you have to go somewhere else to get the best.
Right.
We want to have it here for our patients and our community.
The woman's wellness thing, is it gonna be like Bloomsdale where you go in and do everything?
That's the
You won't
intent.
have to go back here and go back
Yep.
there and go back? Yeah.
Yep.
You
And
go in, one appointment, half hour apart, and you're done?
Isn't that great?
It is, it's wonderful. I
and,
go out there all the time, yeah.
So we want to do the same thing here, and we just added 3D mammography to the hospital
Right, I
campus.
heard that, yeah.
Because we had 3D at Bloomsdale only, so a lot of people, decided not to go to the 2D at the hospital, and because we have 3D at Bloomsdale, and, because my
Makes
wife or
sense. Yeah.
my mother, I would want them to do 3D. So we just had to, those machines are pretty expensive. Actually, our Friends Foundation helped us with that machine. And so the hospital was able to get a second machine that we put in St. Jim. So whether you come to the hospital for your mammogram or go to Bloomsdale,
There you go.
you could even stop at the hospital and get your mammogram here, and we can send the results to Mary Casilius or to Dr. Cavens out at Bloomsdale. So it actually probably saves time. Actually, we've been talking about for patients that maybe see Mary Casilius out at Bloomsdale or Dr. Cavens and live in St. John, we can schedule your appointment here, do the mammogram, and then while you're driving to Bloomsdale, the results are being worked on. And so by the time you get to your appointment, kind of the same thing. You just don't have to wait at Bloomsdale for those things to take place.
And it's
Okay,
all in
so
your
Mary and, they're going to stay out there.
They'll stay
okay.
at Bloomsdale. Mary will be out there. Occasionally we brought Mary back onto the campus. And she has a lot of patients from St. Genevieve, but her schedule is, we're
Probably getting fuller all the
trying to,
time, yeah.
be sensitive. And sometimes it's tough on patients. Well, is Mary in Bloomsdale today, or is she in St. John? And there's been, gets some confusion. So we found that it's kind of easier to try to keep them at one location. That way the patient knows, gosh, they're always at Bloomsdale. My appointment is always at Bloomsdale. But if we ever have, the opportunity to, if we were going to move somebody, we'd probably want to move them on a full-time basis, generally speaking.
So Dr. Lamb and Kelly Dunsey do not do the same thing Mary does, or?
They do.
They do.
They do. Kelly Dunsey, they do exactly. In fact, Mary Casilius is a nurse practitioner. Her collaborating physician is Dr. Lamb,
Right.
as well as Dr. Caven. So actually, she refers some of, if someone's going to her for, let's say, OB, prenatal, she's going to need to hand them off, obviously, to Dr. Lamb or maybe Dr. Kittner or Dr. Whitaker to deliver the baby. But they all work together as a team.
Okay.
And Brittany Terillian is another nurse practitioner in town. So so Mary's out at Bloomsdale. Brittany's works in the office with Dr. Lamb directly, and Kelly Dunsey works over at the Plaza Women's Health with Dr. Whitaker. So
Oh, okay.
we like I said, we've got that really good team, and trying to be in places where it makes it easy for people to get in to see them.
Kim, you thought you wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah. Well, when it's about the hospital, I don't mind talking about the hospital. I could talk all day. I apologize to my next guest, the
You don't
next
have to
guest speaker.
apologize.
No apologies, this is exciting.
So, but,
We allot you all the time you need, we allot her all the
Well,
time she needs. Jenna
I-
can talk as long as you do. And you didn't really talk that long. I
No.
mean,
Okay, well, good. I'll leave these with you. I do want to say thank you again. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk about the hospital.
It
And
was wonderful.
love to have you come back or have members of our staff
That's
come
great,
back.
yes, anytime.
If
I
there,
kept seeing things about you in the paper and all, and I talked to Iris, and I said, I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of that
Well,
man.
Well, we
And we're glad
appreciate
you
the phone
finally
call.
made it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Got
it.
no meeting night,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like I said, if there's ever a hot topic, that, if a physician, if you would like a physician to come in and,
Yes.
whether it be take phone calls or to answer questions about, like I said, a hot topic, we'd be glad to offer
That'd
whatever
be
we
great,
can.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we're always open for guests.
all right.
Yes,
Okay.
always.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I'll leave these with you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, next we have Jenna Firehammer.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for having me tonight.
Well, we're happy you're here.
I'm excited to be here. I actually work for Serenity Hospice Care, who services this county and several others. But I'm here to talk about the St. Genevieve 4th Annual Caregivers Conference that's coming up. It's going to be held at the St. Genevieve Community Center at the Progress Sports Complex, and it's going to be Saturday, March 16th from 8:30 to noon. So We want to get the word out about this conference. It's really for anybody who is a caregiver, whether their job is a caregiver for somebody or if they're just acting as a caregiver for a family member. Whether it's caring for an elderly parent or a child with special needs, we know that caregiving can be really strenuous. Even when, with all of our heart, we're thankful to be able to provide care for another, we can find ourselves depleted. So this is an opportunity for caregivers to come, get lots of resources that will help them care for the one that is depending on them, but also get some inspiration and encouragement and just some wind in their sails to keep doing the good things that they're doing. So we're really excited about the lineup of speakers that we have for this year. I have a little cheat sheet with me. We're going to have our first presentation on ID theft and scamming. This is something that's become quite an epidemic, especially with senior citizens. And I was privy to this firsthand. My whole career prior to coming to Serenity Hospice Care has pretty much been as an in-home caregiver for many, many patients through the years. And I was sitting with one sweet lady in Jefferson City, and there was a call on the telephone from someone who said they worked for the prison in Tijuana, Mexico. Well, this lady's grandson, straight A student, captain of the chess team, just straight-laced kid, was there on a school trip with friends, supervised by another friend's parents. This precious patient of mine was told that her grandson had been arrested with marijuana in his possession, and that if she didn't wire $4,000 to this specific address, that they were going to put him in prison and never let him out. And my sweet patient wanted to get off the phone and immediately go to the bank and have that money wired. And I'm trying to get a hold of her daughter a little bit discreetly, you know, on my phone so she can intervene in the situation. And the daughter was able to get a hold of her mom and said, "Mom, just wait till I get home. Let's talk about this." And sure enough, it was a scam. Her grandson wasn't in any trouble. But the scammers make that so believable because she knew her grandson was in Mexico at the time.
How did they know that he was there? Was
They
it just a long
must-
shot?
Well, I think they
No,
must
they had
have
ways
lists
of
of
knowing
people
these
that are
things.
traveling at the time, whether it's
Oh, my goodness.
through
'Cause
the
I've already-
airport or
yeah.
through the hotel. I don't know, but somebody got a hold of his name and found her.
Because I've already had that call
Have you
about
had
my
that happen?
granddaughter.
Isn't
But
that
I
something?
knew that she wasn't anywhere. I knew she was at home.
Gotcha.
I had a call from a gentleman said that, "Hello, Grandma, this is your grandson."
Really?
I don't even have a grandson.
Really?
All I had was granddaughters.
Wow. Well, not everybody is so lucky to know that they are
That's
being
right.
scammed at the time, or to have someone there with them, like I was with my client.
Exactly.
That
You know,
was
to give her some caution. Yes, but it makes you wonder how many people are taken advantage of every
I can
day.
name a few in town.
Really? That's
Yes.
so sad. So
Very intelligent people.
it's actually going to be Lieutenant Detective Lance White, who is the supervisor of the St. Genevieve Detective Bureau. He's the one that's going to do that session at the conference. So we're really eager to hear from him. We're also going to hear from Mid-America Rehab. They're going to talk about durable medical equipment. So for anyone who is a caregiver of somebody in their home with special needs that could benefit from some assistance items, they're going to talk about a lot of the new equipment that's available in the home to help with bathing, help with transferring from bed to wheelchair and things like that. We're also going to hear from Aaron Luna with Assistive Technologies. He works with the Life Center, I believe, but they have devices like phones for the hearing impaired and many, many other assistance items that can help people just function a little better with whatever needs they have. We're going to have a lawyer, Ellen Lutzow, come. She's going to talk with us about advanced directives and how to choose an executor for your estate. And those are not things that we want to talk about ahead of time, but working for a hospice, I see how often families don't plan for this ahead, and then it has to be planned in a crisis moment, and that is not ideal. So she's going to talk with us about how to have those conversations, what we need to do to set up those things so that the end of life doesn't have to be a time where those big decisions are being made. We've already gotten that out of the way. And then The last session we're going to have is with my friend Jennifer Hornberger, who works at the Counseling Center, and myself. She's going to share her own experience with her mother's end-of-life season when she was a caregiver. And I'm going to follow that up with talking about some ways that we can preserve our family heirlooms and treasures and pass them on for future generations. So we're going to talk about scrapbooking family pictures. We're going to talk about interviewing our loved ones and kind of getting the life story sort of chronicled so we can preserve that and pass it on. We're also going to have some ideas for making quilts out of old shirts or dresses, making an apron out of an old dress and things like that. So we're going to have a lot of samples of DIY projects you can do to kind of cherish those family memories and pass them on. And in addition to these great speakers, we're going to be giving away a lot of gift baskets and prizes and things like that. And in the hallway, we're going to have a whole lot of agencies and vendor tables. Each of those tables are going to have information that would be helpful to caregivers and giveaways that people can sign up for. So we're hoping a lot of people will come out and take advantage of this opportunity and win some great prizes, but more than anything, we want them to leave feeling like they have some resources to take home and help them as a caregiver and help them, whether, like I said, an aging parent, a spouse, a child with special needs. We just want to let them know there's a lot of resources available in this community. And coming to the conference, they'll be able to learn about those.
Now, where is the conference being held?
It's going to be held at the community center at the Progress Sports Complex.
Is that up on Progress Parkway?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So we're asking for RSVPs for the conference just to give us a good head count, although walk-ins are still welcome, even if you don't register ahead of time. But they can register with Paula Fan at Aging Matters. That phone number is 573-335-3331, and that's extension 125. So we do encourage everybody to be there, and I wanted to give a little thanks to our sponsors. St. Genevieve County Memorial Hospital that we've just heard from, they're one of our sponsors. Parkwood Meadows Senior Living, Aging Matters, the St. Genevieve County Health Department, Serenity Hospice Care, where I work, Parkinson's Pals, Woke Insurance, St. Vincent de Paul, the Life Center, Bosler Funeral Homes, and Breeze, Westoff, Nyugen, and Elpers, attorneys at law. They are all sponsors of this event, and they are all individual agencies that feel really compelled to be a strength and a support to caregivers. Mm-hmm. So we're really looking forward to this opportunity. I was a caregiver, as I said, for many years, and even though I found my greatest fulfillment in serving in that role, there were times after a 24-hour shift when I was exhausted and I would step away and have some time to myself. But when you're an in-home caregiver caring for your own relative, you don't always get that opportunity to step away and be refreshed. So we are hoping to share with the individuals who join us for this conference some good tips to give you a little strength during that time.
Okay, now what
make
is the
it through.
date?
The date for our conference is Saturday, March 16th, and it's going to be from 8:30 to noon, so just a Saturday morning. And we think everybody's really going to enjoy it.
8:30 to noon?
8:30 to noon, and we will have snacks and water provided.
That's the 16th, and it's going to be at the community center?
Correct.
No, at the complex, sports complex,
The sports complex
Oh,
there
so
at
that's
the
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 community
one
center.
alongside of it.
the new one.
Yeah.
Right.
At the sports complex?
Mm,
Okay. And
So
that,
how did you get involved with,
Well, working for Serenity Hospice Care, I represent us in the St. Genevieve Community Services Forum that's held at the Health Department, where we just discuss St. Genevieve community issues.
right,
And I was doing some graphic design work to put out into the community some resources for women who may be, women or men who are in abusive situations. we've hung up some posters in restrooms and places like that that has a hotline number that people can call if they're in trouble like that. So through that graphic design opportunity, I was asked to join the Caregivers Conference to do not only graphic design, but also to be a contributing speaker there. So I'm really excited for that opportunity. And as I said before, caregiving is something that's so deeply passionate in my heart. I went to school for graphic design and theology. I never pursued anything in terms of a medical career. But I had taken off work to raise my girls and be a stay-at-home mom for quite a few years, and when I was looking to get back into the workforce, a friend of mine said, I have an elderly friend with Parkinson's disease, and she really needs an in-home caregiver. They're paying an agency $18 an hour to care for her, and she needs around-the-clock care. So we're trying to find someone who would come and fill some of the hours of her week at a lesser rate. And at first I thought, well, I don't think I'm cut out for that. I don't have any medical training. And they said, well, I think you would do just fine, you know, and there will always be people you can call if she's ever in any type of an emergency situation. So I took on this new adventure, and I absolutely fell in love with being a caregiver. I loved caring for her home, setting up her doctor's appointments, arranging her medications for her and things like that. But more than anything, we just bonded as friends. She could no longer sew because of the Parkinson's disease, but had loved quilting for many years. So I'd go up and bring down, you know, fabrics that she had stored away, and we'd cut squares and make throw pillows, and she talked me through making dresses for my little girls, and we actually made a small quilt out of my daughter's receiving blankets, little patches from her receiving blankets, and it allowed her to still be part of something she enjoyed so much through the years. We also traced her genealogy back all the way to Bible times. We can't 100% check our accuracy there, but with an online program, Ancestry.com, she had already done a lot of research in her younger years about her own genealogy. So we put in all the information she had gathered, and then we just kind of went from there and traced it back, and it was really fascinating. And we would watch shows on Food Network, and I would try to cook, you know, all kinds of crazy meals, and she was my guinea pig. But that was just a beautiful experience to share the last 2 years of her life with her. And I think it was the very end when she came on hospice care that gave me my passion for hospice now and working with Serenity. Serenity is a wonderful hospice. They're nonprofit. And they were the first hospice in the area back in 1989, started totally by volunteers, volunteer doctors, nurses, and clergymen that saw a need for end-of-life care, a little more support for our neighbors and our friends. So we're celebrating 30 years this year as the first hospice in the area. And a wonderful thing about Serenity is a lot of people think they can't afford hospice care, but we take everybody regardless of their ability to pay. So if they're uninsured, underinsured, that's totally covered by donations from the community, by fundraising and grant writing and things like that. So we love being able to provide that to anyone in this area who's in need. And the Caregivers Conference, we don't want to think about having to put the ones we're caring for on hospice, and yet sometimes when they get to the stage where they're needing some comfort, hospice is exactly who some of these caregivers may need to call so they can come alongside you. It really is beautiful. A lot of people think it's just for the last few days or weeks of life, but really it's when you're no longer undergoing aggressive treatment for a terminal illness like chemotherapy. If the doctors say it's not going to do any good, or you've decided you don't want to go through it anymore, coming on hospice care early can allow us to keep you strong and comfortable much longer than if you don't have those comfort measures. So hospice is a beautiful thing, and caregiving is such a beautiful calling that so many of us, whether we've chosen it or whether it's thrust upon us, you know, in our own families, it's wonderful that people selflessly care for others, and we're excited just to give a lot of great resources at this conference coming up. And I appreciate you ladies letting me come and talk about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is
You're
wonderful.
fine.
I'm glad that Iris,
And that's
Invited
such a
you.
blessing to be able to do that, because a lot of
Oh.
people can't.
I love
Yeah.
to take care of people like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. My dad was a psychologist, a doctor, and my mother a nurse. So I think I grew up with that gene in my blood for
Yeah.
needing to take care of others.
Well, all my
Yeah.
family members
For
are much
sure.
older than me, so that's where I got into it.
I see.
Taking care of the older folks.
Gotcha.
And my husband that had cancer.
Oh,
Took care of him.
wow.
It all worked out fine.
So you know how important a conference like this could be for someone in that position. Just to know what resources are available, know you're not alone in what you're doing, and receive a little strength. That's really our goal.
So what type of vendors, what type of vendors are in the hall?
Well, some of the vendors are going to be healthcare related agencies like hospices, and some of them are going to be agencies that provide some of the medical equipment and technologies that are available to help with assistance in the home. I don't have the full list with me tonight of all of our vendors, but I know that there's going to be 17 different vendors, all with giveaways at their tables, and all of them offering things that are going to be beneficial to caregivers. I think there may also be, life insurance agencies, things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to provide a really wide array of local agencies that are reaching out to caregivers through this
So
event.
everything is basically tying into the speakers.
I
what
think
they
for the
say.
most
Yeah.
part, from reading the list earlier today, I think it's mostly tied into caregiving.
It's great.
So from graphic artist to caregiver.
Sometimes God has plans that deviate from the plans we've made for ourselves, but those are always the best plans.
That's right. He always knows best.
He really does.
Sure.
Do you have
Yeah.
a part-time help or anything with your, people that maybe don't work at all? Maybe might want to come in and work a day or two or something, helping to fill in, like maybe a caregiver
Yeah.
needs to go take care of themselves, you know?
Right. We have an excellent volunteer group. We actually have two. We have one in Park Hills that services several counties. And then right here in St. Genevieve, we have an amazing group of volunteers who service this area, Bloomsdale, and Perryville. So we are always recruiting new volunteers, and they are mostly retired individuals who are looking for a way to serve and a way to give back. And they help the hospice in different ways. Many of them will sit at the bedside with patients, whether it's in private homes or in a nursing home. But our St. John group is also really wonderful about going to Riverview, going to St. John Care Center. They call bingo. They help with all kinds of activities. They help me do facials at Riverview once a month for the ladies there. So they're really deeply invested in the community. And we have others in Park Hills who just come and do office work. They may not be comfortable sitting with patients, but they still want to contribute to the ministry and the mission of Serenity, providing these services, whether people can afford it or not. So yes, we would love, if anybody's interested in becoming a hospice volunteer, they can reach me at 573-271-1447, and I can share information on how to become a trained hospice volunteer. And it's very rewarding work, and we have such an amazing group. I would love to maybe bring one of our volunteers on sometime.
That would be great.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
please do.
And also you have a garden that Serenity's doing?
We do. Solace Place Memorial Garden is a special project. We are selling bricks, a lot like the hospital.
Right.
We're selling bricks where you can get a brick in memory of a loved one, whether they were on Serenity service or not. Or you could just contribute with a favorite scripture or just your family's name on a brick. But it's a beautiful little garden with a gazebo, a little stone picnic table, some benches. It's a place to go and reflect and remember those who we've lost. And the bricks will be an addition to that memorial to help remember those. So I don't have the prices with me for the bricks, but there's 2 different sizes for anybody that wants to purchase a brick and make that donation. And all those proceeds go to keeping our ability to serve those who can't afford hospice care.
Right.
So we're excited about that. I think we are going to have our memorial service this year in the garden. We usually have it inside Serenity Hospice Care, but this year we'll have it in Solace Place Garden, and everybody will get to see where those bricks will go.
Oh, that'll be
So
neat.
we're looking forward to that. Lastly, I just really wanted to share my fellow committee members for this Caregivers Conference. They're all such wonderful people serving St. Genevieve. One of them is Kathy Bullis with Aging Matters. She is such a great lady leading this conference. Sandra Bell, I'm sure you know, with the St. Genevieve County Health Department.
Right.
She's on our committee as well. Jennifer Burke with Parkwood Meadows Senior Living. She is such a happy, bubbly, wonderful person, and she does so much good for these individuals. Jean Grifford with Parkinson's Pals, Jennifer Hornberger with Community Counseling, Brittany Klump with Wolk Insurance, Laura Prenew with Follert St. Vincent de Paul Society, or Laura Prenew Follert with St. Vincent de Paul, Mary Jo Raymer, your public administrator here in St. Genevieve, Robin Reynolds with the Life Center, Cindy Silman with Aging Matters, Diane Weber, who works with me at Serenity Hospice Care, and then myself. We are all the committee members planning the conference this year, and every single one of us is looking forward to as many people coming as possible.
That's
So
great.
thank you for letting me come and talk about the conference on your show.
And
I
you
hope
do-
the word gets out to a lot of people.
And you don't have to be a caregiver to
That's
attend.
true. It is open to anybody in the community. The resources are mainly geared towards caregivers, but even if you're not a caregiver at this season of your life, in the future you may be, and how valuable to have these resources at your disposal when the time comes.
I wish I'd had them years ago,
Absolutely.
because I've been a caregiver to 3 different people.
Have you? Wow.
And
it's-
then, on top of it, you might get some volunteers
Yeah. that
for
would be
coming there and
great.
listening.
I know
Yeah.
Diane Weber's really
Yeah.
good.
Diane
She's
Weber is a
been with me.
wonderful lady.
She
The
is.
2 of 'em.
She's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's special. Yeah, she's the one that kind of nudged me onto this committee.
Oh.
She felt like I would have some good
She's
things
great.
to contribute, and I'm thankful she did, because it is a wonderful program. But yeah,
That's great.
she's a great lady, and she is very passionate about St. Genevieve County.
Yeah, she is.
I wouldn't know what to have done without her. It really was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, she's been a social worker for Serenity Hospice Care for many, many years, and she tried to retire last year, or a couple years ago, I guess my first year there.
Yeah.
3 years ago, she had just retired, but we've roped her back in, just working for us PRN when she's needed. She's available to meet with families here in St. Genevieve and help get the process started for getting hospice services in the home.
She's
And
great.
she really is a wonderful lady. And she's offered to assist with bereavement care too, and that's just so helpful to us.
She's wonderful.
She really is.
So, anything else you can think of?
I don't think so, but we do want everybody who's watching tonight, even if they're not a caregiver, to pass on the word to anybody that is, because we're really going to be able to offer some strength and encouragement and inspiration to caregivers.
That's for sure.
That's wonderful, yeah.
Now, if we want to, you say you'd like to hear in advance if the person is coming.
Yes, that would be ideal if we could have RSVPs. That will help us with our planning. And their contact person for that, again, is Paula Fan with Aging Matters. And that phone number is 573-335-3331, extension 125.
Okay, Paula.
Paula Fan, F-A-N-N,
But the extension was that,
125. And walk-ins are still welcome, even if you haven't registered ahead of time. We still want
We just
to,
may make you squeeze in.
there you go.
It's really a pretty poster that you
Oh,
made.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Was
you.
looking at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed putting that together. It's marrying my two loves of graphic design and caregiving.
Hey, I think that's,
Okay, any more questions?
no,
No, I think our people tonight have cleared the air.
Good, I'm glad.
Okay. So we're very happy that you came.
Well, thank you so much. It was very nice
Yeah.
meeting the three of you
Yeah.
and being on the show tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, anytime you want to come visit us again, you are more than welcome.
Okay,
Just
great.
call.
I
You call us,
appreciate
just
it.
Yeah. And you can tell others about it too, if they
Okay.
would like, if they have information to share.
Oh, sure.
I go to the meetings every once in a while, and have you been there when I've been there? Passing out my paper, come to what's new?
Maybe so.
Yeah. It's probably been, probably almost a year, I
Okay,
guess.
well, maybe not.
Yeah.
I think I joined the committee maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, 6, no, I haven't been there within the last 6 months.
Okay. All
I
right.
think I was in there early spring last year. I'm thinking it was.
Okay. Yeah, well, I can definitely give you a call about a few people I think would enjoy
Well, that would be great.
coming on.
Oh,
And I would love to come back on, like I said, with one of our volunteers, maybe in
sure.
April, because April's Volunteer Appreciation Month.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah.
Adele Uding is one of our volunteers.
Yes, she is.
And she would probably love to come on and
Yeah,
talk a little
she's
bit about
very
her
nice, too.
experience as a hospice volunteer.
oh, that'd be
That
wonderful.
would be, yes, yes.
Okay,
Great.
great. I will look forward to that then and get a hold of you to set it up.
Okay, that would be
You have our
wonderful.
phone numbers? You have-
I'd like to
Adele?
get your phone
Yeah.
number, actually.
And
That would be
you.
great.
Oh,
Her phone, you want to give her your phone number and I'll give her mine?
it's on mine when you called, when Mary Ann called a while ago.
Oh, yes, okay, then I will just save it, and I'll give you ladies my card if you're needing to fill a spot for a speaker sooner than I get a hold of you.
Okay, that would be
We've got
wonderful.
a couple spots open next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
I may have just taken my cards out of here, though.
So I guess we will sign off, and we sure appreciate you coming, and Mr. Heim,
Well,
telling
thank
us all
you.
about the hospital. And anytime you want to come back, you are very, very welcome to do so.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you
Whenever
so
you
much.
have another conference or anything of that type, just come on down.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
So Charlie, I guess we are finished. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for watching.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.